topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Talk. I'm Wendy, and my vision today is very blurry. My eyes are tired, so please forgive me. I need to keep my glasses on for just a little bit. Thank you all, first of all, for tuning in with Wendy on Wednesday, and I'm very excited this week because it's Halloween, my favorite holiday. If you get our Triversity newsletter emailed to you, you will find out that Halloween was also called Gay Christmas. Our brilliant Triversity board member, Kit, actually does a whole history column, and I had no idea that Halloween was Gay Christmas. I learn things from Kit every day. Also, if you look at our newsletter and you go on our website, you'll find out that we have a Halloween candy giveaway in front of Triversity. We do it every year. We're located on Hartford Street. Please stop by. We'll have lots of candy, but you know what? We are also accepting donations of candy. So if you can donate candy to Triversity and you're listening, please go by. People will be there to accept it. We want to have a really great Halloween this year. I want to just give you a couple of save the dates. Our holiday party, which is in December, which I don't know why I can't get this date in my head. December 7th, it's Sunday, December 7th from 4 to 7 at Ma and Papa Joe's in Port Jervis, New York. And of course, upcoming November 20th, if you can really save that date, it's a very important time. Transgender Day of Remembrance. We always have such an incredible ceremony. And we have all our regular programs going on at the center, our teen group, our schmoozing with Triversity, getting together and talk. We have our traipsing with Triversity, our hiking, which is, I think, our next date is November 22nd. Yeah, so that's everything that's going on in our lives. Well, of course, there's a whole lot more, but I am very excited about our guest tonight, who actually reached out to me with a wonderful book, and I only have 20 pages left. I couldn't put it down. The book is called Fairyboy, Growing Up Gay and Out and Pre-Stonewall and Beyond. A very important book. And the author is Garrett Glaser, who is a journalist. And the first time Garrett came out of the closet was when he was a kid, but he actually came out twice because he came out at 41 on the air in Los Angeles for a major TV station, okay, which was in 1994. It was Channel 4. That was unheard of. Throughout the book, there's so many stories Garrett had to share about what things were like then, but also what they're like now. And as an interviewer, he interviewed, my gosh, so many people on Entertainment Tonight. So without further ado, please welcome Garrett Glaser.
Thank you, Wendy. I love your energy. You have great energy.
Great. Good. I'm glad you like it. It doesn't do well on dates for me, but it does. I had a date and I'm like, and it was okay. I just want to be friends, but I thought I'd get like, gee, it was nice meeting you, because I sent him a thank you. He took me out for a really nice dinner and everything. I sent him a thank you and pictures of my animals, and like I didn't hear anything. And a lot of my LGBTQ friends said to me, Wendy, face it, you're too much. So Garrett, thank you so much.
You are alive, you're positive, you're full of life, you're everything right.
So are you. You wrote this book Fairyboy, and the parallels. You and I came of age at the same time.
Yeah.
I absolutely love. I love your perception. Why did you decide to write this book now?
Well, I'll tell you what happened. I had piddled around for more than a decade. Oh, I remember. You know what? I should write that before I forget it. Whether it was doing some difficult movie star or, any reason, I just thought I better write this stuff down before I forget it. And I started forgetting them. And my partner, David, said, you better get busy and finish writing.
Yeah.
Because it was leaving, I'm 72, little by little stuff leaves. So I started writing, and we hired a terrific editor who went over it all. And my partner, David's a retired entertainment attorney. He looked at things like libel and copyright issues. And I have several thousand pages of notes I kept over 30 years.
So you actually, this is smart. I wrote a book. I had to use my photo albums, and I also hired an editor in Palm Springs to help me tell my story. But you had several thousand pages of notes. Thank God you kept them. I talked to more people that say, I'd like to write a book. They've done incredible things, but you reach a certain age, you don't remember everything.
That's exactly right. And I remember writing some. I moved from New York. I went to college at Hunter College, and I wanted desperately to be on the air. And I moved for my first on-air TV was to Fort Wayne, Indiana. And it was a great experience. It was $12,500 a year, and it was the 93rd market in the country. It was small. But I'll tell you what I recall. I pick up the morning paper there. I think it was the Journal Gazette. And I pick it up, and they're showing names and home addresses of people that the police had arrested for public lewdness. Right. And I thought, so they want not just to say his name, but they would say where he worked,
his
home address was. Terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Yeah.
I was just...
Go on. What year are we talking?
78.
Yeah. I remember when 78 was like. It's funny because you bring up incidences of this in your book. And in my own head, I was fast forwarding. 2 years ago, I would have said, isn't that great that this doesn't go on anymore? I can't say that now. I absolutely, I took every point of reference in your book to what they did like then, because I do remember. And then at like the last 2 years, oh my God, right? How things have changed.
Listen, I have a friend for the last 40 years, and he lives with his partner in Fort Lauderdale, in a very gay neighborhood of Fort Lauderdale. And he tells me that with the governor down, they're afraid to put signs on the house, just say Happy Halloween if it looks too gay, because the police will come by and make them take the sign down. It's kind of insane what's going on right now.
You know what? It is insane. And I mean, that's a whole other story. I want to go way back in time with you. When you first realized you were gay, what was so amazing to me was you were so comfortable in your...
I know.
It was like, I'm gay. I'm attracted to the same sex. This is how it is. You came out to your mom over dinner when she had a friend over.
Yeah. She was upset.
It was right, and I mean, understandably for the time.
Yeah.
But what made you so comfortable in your own skin, Garrett? What do you think?
Boy, it's really interesting. I never even realized it until I began looking back at my youth. And then I thought, well, gee, my friend had this happen, and this guy, his parents threw him out, or his school threw him out, or his part-time job fired him. So I didn't experience all that. And I was pretty darn lucky, and I had never even thought about it. And I think part of it is I decided early on that it was too important for me to live my life openly and honestly. I consciously at a young age said to myself, I am not going to live in the closet. I'm not going to play that game. There's nothing wrong with me. I'm just different. Gay people and straight people are the same. It has to do with who you're attracted to, but we're basically the same.
Exactly. But it is interesting. When I was making notes for the show, I wrote how bold next to that.
Yeah, I was maybe too bold.
No, I think it's having the confidence, because when reading about your parents, and your parents were divorced, you had a stepmom who outed you at dinner, and that could like really destroy and hurt.
Yeah.
Not you. You just,
my mom once said to me, "Mister, you better tone it down a little bit," because I was young and full of, P and V, I guess. I just, and that's before, I started my first part. He was at Stonewall the first night. I didn't go till the second night, but we stayed friends through the years. And I just thought if it hadn't been for him, I would not have experienced Christopher Street and all of that.
Amazing.
Because he was so comfortable with himself. He was from Virginia, but he was comfortable with, and you know what, Oliver? If you're comfortable with yourself, people are comfortable with you.
Right.
If I like myself and they sense that, they like that.
Right.
If I'm insecure or uncomfortable with myself, that comes over too. So I really believe if you're good to yourself, like yourself, believe in yourself,
sure,
that comes over, that comes across.
And that's so easy for a lot of people. I'm listening to you and I'm thinking, he either really is like this or he has had tons of therapy.
I have had my whole life. I've had therapy.
Well, you know what? Then you're a shining example of how well it works because you have such a positive attitude. I have had more guests on this show that have lived decades, and their coming out stories they're really horrific. It seems the worst is Italian Catholic. You can't get worse than that. And the guilt that stays with people, right? Through their
you're so right. Actually, I'm thinking about people I knew who had, who refused to go to psychotherapy. And as far as I'm concerned, it's the best investment in yourself you can make because you have insights into your own stuff.
Right.
I have friends who have problems who refuse to go to therapy. I'm like, how can you live like this? Therapy is a great thing.
Therapy is a great thing for people that are listening out there. I know I've never been in therapy, but always have been very comfortable with who I am. And a lot of the times other people aren't, which is one of the reasons I put this show together is, I want to tell these stories. I want to have people like you on. I want to have community where we all support each other. All right. And you don't feel like you're alone. We have a saying, diversity. We have beautiful signs that we made. They say, you belong, you matter. And
nice.
I know, but how important is that? So you as a journalist, you got your master's at Annenberg School of Communications. That's a great.
Yes, at USC. And it really, what was interesting in grad school? I studied persuasion theory. I looked at what can gay people do. Well, it's a very scientific approach to figuring out how to persuade people of things. Like, I think it has to do with if you are likable, if you're a gay person and you're in a small community, conservative community, if you can present yourself in a way that doesn't threaten them too much. If you're polite and well-spoken and kind, even when they're not, that comes back to help you. And it's a fascinating study of what is likability. And I wish that, especially in difficult places, we were better at making ourselves likable and not threatening. And I actually,
I'm going to give you the other side of the coin to that.
Yeah, sure.
What you're saying, I know to be totally true because I have friends in Pennsylvania that are that, and it lets them. It's almost like being a good politician. You can navigate the waters if you make yourself likable. But the other side of the coin is a lot of the kids, and I agree with them. They're like, why should I even need to do that? I don't need for them to like me. So then there's that. What do you think about it?
That's a great question. I believe that in the best of all possible worlds, it should not be important that you are likable. But because we live in the world right now, likability helps sell things. Like, I'm a gay person, but if I'm really radical and angry, I'm going to turn off these people watching me. If I can manage to get my point across, but not be insulting to them, and if I can stay open and kind, that comes back to help you in spades. Right. I really believe it.
Well, that's something, as Michelle Obama called it, the high road.
Oh, yeah. I don't listen, I've dealt with some terrible people in 30 years of news. Yeah. I interviewed a guy, he's a preacher in Virginia Beach, who says to me on camera, Jesus called for the death penalty for homosexuals. And I just nodded like, yeah, thinking to myself, this guy's out of his mind. Well, I made it a point not to go, "Lee, are you wacko? I'm afraid of you." Or I didn't say anything to the camera guy. I just made like, okay. And I was glad that I didn't alienate him and make an enemy of him. I figured he's got a lot of problems for him. He says he's a preacher, but he talks to God and he knows what God wants. I'm like, there's nothing I can say to this guy.
No, right, exactly. But so what? You proved that you were able to keep your cool. I think what happens a lot of the time, I'm going to go right back to Stonewall. Nobody was keeping their cool that night.
That's right.
Rightfully so. I actually know people that were there. And and by the way, what you said about Marsha P. Johnson,
I loved her.
Part of your book, right? But people I know that were there, Marsha P. Johnson was not there on.
No, and she would even acknowledge that.
I know.
And,
so right.
And I liked Marsha. I mean, she was homeless and alcohol. Every time I saw her, she was drunk. Okay, she's a street person. She has issues, but she's out there in the world and good for her. I always found her nice and funny and almost sweet sometimes.
Right.
And compared to the other one, Sylvia Rivera, who was not. And I didn't want to hang with Sylvia, but I lived at Christopher and Gay Street on the corner, and I would see Marsha walking by fairly often. And she was always funny. And I also thought she was kind of smart. Actually,
she definitely was.
Yeah, so and yet I didn't feel that way with Sylvia. I did interview a guy who had written a book on gays and the mafia, who tells me that when Marsha and Sylvia started this transvestite support group, this gangster let them use his apartment in a tenement that he owned.
Amazing story, right?
Right. And then he said, but of course I kicked him out right away. I said, why? I mean, what happened? He says, even the first month, they never made the rent. And he said, I'm not in the business of supporting them. And so, they were like boozing it up. They were having fun. They were not thinking, how am I going to pay the rent? That's just,
that was irrelevant. But you brought up a good point about gays and the mafia. Many people out there in the world do not know that they were involved with all the gay bars in New York.
Oh, yeah. And there's a book on gays and the mafia that talks about gay mobsters who at early on, like in the 50s and 60s, were targeted with death because they were gay.
Wow.
Like, it's a disgrace to my family if I have a brother who's gay, as if anyone would know or care. But there was a time when if you were in the mob and known to be gay, they would make your life, the other gangsters would make your life very difficult.
Totally miserable. Wow.
Yeah. You mentioned Salvation. I mean, those three guys, mobsters, it was a great club, disco.
I don't know how did I miss that club? I went to the Saint. I don't know how
okay.
I missed Salvation. Was what, 3 years before?
Yeah,
I
just
had
about.
just
Yeah.
gotten out of college then, right? I
Yeah.
wasn't quite.
It was a really nice club, but I used to see I was a waiter there for 4 weeks over Christmas vacation, and I'm serving drinks, and I'm looking at the three guys who were kind of in charge. They weren't the manager. I was told they were the three owners, and these guys look like mafioso to me.
You're right.
And it turns out one of them was shot dead a few years later doing a drug
That's
thing.
promising,
So
yeah.
they were mob, but again, it was like a gay bar. Well, Jesus, the mafia was all over gay bars in the old days. That was where you had to go,
Yeah, that was the way of it. So I want to talk about, it wasn't a bar, but you would hang out at these truck stops. What did they call that again?
Well, back then it was where they parked huge trucks underneath what is now the West Side Highway. And back then,
meatpacking.
yeah, I mean, it was a place where guys would stand around. These are very usually closeted guys, and they would have sex in the back of these trucks in the middle of the night.
Big trucks that were parked over there.
Yeah, they would park them like, let's say you're in a warehouse business. Well, you don't need your truck 24/7. So they would park these huge empty trucks over by the West Side Highway, and guys would go in there and sometimes have sex and sometimes not. But it was a safe place for them to go and not get arrested. I actually saw the police a few times. It's like the police who stopped the sex that was going on, they didn't want to write up the arrest. It was a pain in their neck. Right. So sometimes they would come in, they'd shine a flashlight and they'd say, "Let's go, boys, let's keep moving." And everybody would scramble, and I didn't sense anti-gay stuff from the cops. Maybe it was there, but I didn't see it. These were local cops, and they were used to, some of them were gay, but I used to be the police beat reporter in that precinct, 6th precinct on 10th
Stop
Street.
it. That's like, wait, hold on. That's okay. Let's talk about something coming full circle.
Yeah.
How did you end up becoming the police beat reporter?
Isn't that crazy?
That's crazy.
I was just out of Hunter College with my journalism degree, and I desperately wanted to write, and I started writing for a little Greenwich Village community paper called The Villager, and
I remember it, of course,
the police beat. So I would go to the precinct, and I would look at these sheets. They called them yellow sheets, and it was just a write-up of every arrest in the district over that week. So, whether it was armed larceny or, all kinds of stuff, from misdemeanors to felonies. And I would just write it up, and I made friends with some of the policemen who worked there, and I tried to get their attitude about gay related crimes. Like, guys get drunk, they do stuff where it's not so private, and you're breaking the law. So I tried to see it from their point of view, and it was very helpful to me. And later, when I worked around the country, I was typically police, crime, breaking news. I mean, you meet all kinds of people when you're, you meet all kinds of people when you're a reporter. And I met good and bad and old and young and black and white and all kinds. And I think that helps. When a zillion kinds of people, it makes you more tolerant of people who are different than you.
Right. You just brought up a really good point. And I'm going to link that into now. There's such incredible intolerance.
Oh, yeah.
And for me, I think my own opinion, we become so polarized to each other in this country, and in this country, even how we view people globally. I don't mean if you're living in New York or LA, but a lot of the places in between, people never leave their town, nor do they care to. Instead of, we're in the age of information where we have everything at our fingertips. And my God, if you're a TV watcher, you can watch foreign films on Netflix if you want to see these places. But it hasn't made people more intelligent or more tolerant. If anything, they've gone the other way. And Garrett, for the life of me, I can't figure out what that is.
Let me ask you a question. How come, if you're let's say you're a boy and you're growing up and you're very effeminate. What's natural for you is effeminacy. So
Right.
you like dolls and you like theater and you like
Yep.
makeup and all the things that little boys don't typically like. And let's say you have to hold inside yourself what you feel about yourself. Like, I might be a girl. Imagine going through that your whole life. Now, why do these people around this administration want to hurt these people? Why do they want to kick them out of the military or keep them away from help, medical help? All the things that are so mean and cruel.
It's
why
just
do they
it's
care?
vicious, and to me, I think it's an easy target of diversion. Instead of empowering the
Yep.
transgender community, they want to
Yep.
take away from, they want to victimize, and
Yeah.
absolutely cruel. But then
It
it's
is.
up to the LGBTQ community and the ally community to get
Yeah.
behind. And again, New York City, where I'm broadcasting from, is a very different place.
Yeah.
We've had, as we've had tons of marches here. It's a safe place. We want to
is.
keep it that way. We don't want martial law. We don't want, anyone coming in. And I think holy hell will break loose if they really start to victimize New York. I don't think New Yorkers will take it. I really don't.
What do you make of the guy running for mayor who's supposed to win?
So I'm loving our conversation, by the way. So here's the thing, I'm not a fence sitter, but I'm also not a black and white person either.
Right.
But I don't live in the gray area because I do have my opinions. Nandani is very charismatic.
That's what I heard.
Very good looking. Someone new with fresh ideas.
Okay.
His mother, I've met a number of times. She's an incredible. Miranar is an amazing filmmaker. She's a brilliant filmmaker. So well known in the community. Okay, he's got ideas. Do I think rent freezes are feasible here? No, I don't think that would happen.
Yeah.
But would I want them? Yeah, because my friends are the ones in the rent stabilized apartments.
Yes.
All right. Do I think we can have free grocery stores here? That is just no, I don't. However, when I talk to my daughter, who's 32, and her partner and their friends and the people I know in that age group, they want to embrace this freshness, this progressiveness. So I say to you, Garrett, what about the reality of it? Honestly, there's a lot of things I'm like, does he really think he can pull this off?
Yeah.
And the other side of the coin is, everybody in my age group is like, he's terrible. He's this.
Yeah.
That, and people make things up. You can't believe anything you read anymore. If I know with him and talked with him, I'd be able to analyze what he's saying. I can't believe what's written. Isn't that sad? But that's
I'm concerned about the stuff about Jews in Israel.
Same.
Although my friends say he has kind of quieted down on that as he got more and more popular.
Right, but does quiet down mean it's going to? Okay, let's talk about the quiet down. You want to bring up Gaza? We had a ceasefire deal, right?
I thought
supposedly it's a ceasefire deal, except now everybody's back shooting at each other again.
I know.
So what exactly? What is real? I honestly don't know what to believe. And his original opinion, there were two things: anti-Israel and he was anti-Israel and the whole defund the police thing, which I remember when those marches were happening here in New York. You know what it did? It made the police not be in the subway when I was on it. I'm going to look at it from my own selfish point of view. I need police down there.
Well, so do I. And let me ask you a question. Listen, I don't say there aren't bad policemen. There are some.
Absolutely.
But the vast majority,
policemen
the vast majority I met were decent people. And I learned early on, if a cop says to me, you get off the sidewalk, I go. I don't give him a hard time. I do whatever they say because I figure he's got a tough job. But if I'm going to curse or throw things at him, I'm going to piss him off, right? So I just always was taught, you do what the policeman says, even if you don't like it.
Yeah, but we came out of that time. Our parents,
Yeah,
come on,
that's
you
what
never
we were
growing
taught.
up like the
Yes.
police are always the cop, you know, they
Yeah.
listen to
It's
officer
so
whoever.
different.
But
Yeah.
what happened is from people being victimized by police and them being killed when they didn't do anything wrong. So that brought us to now. So in answer to your original question, I don't know where our election is going to go in New York, and I don't know if Cuomo is going to get it. I'm thinking now not, from everything that I've been reading about.
Yeah.
So Eric Adams endorsed Cuomo the other day. I think that was a bad move because I think Cuomo probably lost a lot of votes that he was going for. I don't know. It's hard to tell how these things are going to shake out. All I can tell you is, and you know this, only time will tell. We have to just sit here, and you have a lot of friends in New York.
Well, frankly, between you and me, I've had
Yes.
I've had words with, some of them on Facebook and elsewhere, because they seem to be radicalized totally for Mamdani. And if you say anything questioning him, they get angry at you. So I lost my temper, and then I apologized a few weeks ago. But I feel like they're a little extreme. And these are people I've known 50 years.
Yeah, but we're living, okay, but here's other side of the coin again, Garrett. We're living in very extreme times. Let's go back to your book. All the, you get into the equality and how you watch things change and move forward.
Yeah.
It wasn't that grand. And as I said to you, if you had written, if we were 2 years ago, I'd be here. We'd all be happy, right? We'd be doing the happy. It's like none of us expected things to go the way they were.
I didn't know.
Right. Marriage equality could be up.
Can you believe this? That they're talking about working on undoing it. What is it?
Undo, right? It's the undo, but everything has been undone. Look at our policy for environment. There's going to be it was a blip in the news the other day. Gas drilling again up in Alaska. Everything's being undone.
Yeah. And
we just have to survive it.
I look at how much money, the corruption, that so much is about enriching himself and the people around him. And they say I saw, I don't know if it's true. I saw a number the other day. He somehow, between re-election and now, has pocketed $3 billion. What is that about? Where does that come from?
Right. But his constituents, okay, I get the wealthy people that support him, do or die. I don't get where we are in Pennsylvania. If you read some of the blogs out there, it's like no matter what, they're they've lost their SNAP benefits.
Yeah.
They're now have more people than ever suffering from food insecurity, right? Coming into food pantries. So with all that being said, and why is the government shut down? Well, the government shut down because, our healthcare, Obamacare, which I was on for a large portion of my life, went up for grabs with this, that could have been done away with. How can people get rid of their own health insurance and think that's okay?
How is it that after all this stuff has been done, there are still people who are middle class, lower middle class, lower income, who are still for Trump? I don't understand it. It's otherworldly.
You know what? I had this conversation with someone. I've come to believe it was like the people that I had a friend working in a local hospital during COVID, and the person would come in dying of COVID, and they would take their last breath in denial that they had COVID. I think, and this because you come from a news background and you know how you had to write the news and present the news. And I want to get into that with you. There is a form of brainwashing that even when I'm going to bring up the news right now. I channel surf when I'm at the gym because I can't stand watching that stuff, but I channel surf. And I go on Fox, I go on CNBC, I go on ABC, NBC, MSNBC. I want to hear how the news is being presented. Everything is so big and sensational.
Yes,
and
yes.
you know, I'm on the elliptical and I'm like, oh my God. It's on every channel. I'm telling you, Garrett, they're getting into people's heads that way. And in answer to your question, how can someone that's middle class or lower middle class be okay with losing everything and still support this administration? I just think people have been numbed. They've been numbed. They've been numbed. And that's what we're dealing with now.
I hate to say it, but I think it's true. If you look at the people who have studied the history of mass communications,
yes,
the TV programmers, the folks who controlled and designed TV news starting in the 60s when I was starting out, they're smart. And they saw that when they put stuff on that was sensationalistic, their numbers went up, their ratings were higher. And so it's all about making money. And those shows did well. Well, let's do more of it, they say.
Right.
But you're right. What is the long-term impact on people who see that every day?
I think that, you know, and I love that your background is as a TV reporter, because let's talk about this. It's been going on for years. Now I think we have the result of it. Now when people say these people are crazy for feeling that way, I'm like, no, we created it. Okay.
Yeah,
we did it with our own little hatchet. And I got to tell you, the undoing of it it's not going to be easy. So there was a particular story that you told in your book when you realized you were kind of burnt out on the news and you had gone a little too far. A child was killed and you moved in with the camera.
Oh, it was just sad. So sad. It broke my heart.
Right. But but that's a great example of, like, you had something go off in your head and you knew you never wanted to do that again. You had
I was working, well, that was in Miami, but after that I went to WABC TV Channel 7 Eyewitness News in Manhattan, and I was hard news, and I was going out doing bad, covering bad crimes a lot.
Right.
Well, I just knew I couldn't do. I had done it by that point 15 years. I was getting burnt out on it. So my boss walks into my cubicle. He says, well, what do you, I said, I got to have a talk with you. I want to be really honest. I just don't know that I can do this much more. I'm kind of burning out. And he says, well, what do you want to do, Glaser? I said, well, I'd like to cover the business of television. I find it interesting. He says, well, you couldn't do it full time, but you could cover entertainment and the media business. I'd let you try that. I said, hell yeah, I'd be thrilled. Gorgeous. And that led to Entertainment Tonight. And it was really wonderful. I mean, I get to interview movie stars and playwrights and directors and producers, and it's fascinating. People go to David, my partner, is going to New York next week, and he's going to see a lot of theater because we live out in San Diego and we haven't caught up. And if you hear the stories these days where show tickets to a Broadway show might be $300 and still the producers aren't making a profit, that tells me there's a problem. Maybe it's union wages. I don't know what it is, but something's wrong. If it's $300 a ticket, they can't make a go of it. That's a big problem. And so that was the kind of stuff I remember one of the most interesting interviews I ever did was with the guy who wrote Fences and the guy who
God, he was great.
Oh, he was brilliant. I could just sit there and listen to him all day.
Work with me. Who was it?
Oh, I'll punch it. This is what happens when you're 72.
It's okay. I know who you are, and I can't remember who it is either. Oh my God, we have to Google it or go to ChatGPT.
I'm going to do it right now. Here.
Google.
Hey Siri, who wrote the play Fences? She's on a break, so she's
on a break. You can't count on her. Let's try Google. But while we wait for who wrote Fences, I'm
ashamed of myself. But
I would like you to share. I found it completely fascinating, the interview you did with Charlie Manson.
Oh yeah, he was so nuts. It's funny
because Wilson, by the way, wrote Fences, and we'll get
August Wilson. I could listen to him he was just brilliant. Everything he said He was so smart. And Lloyd Richards, who directed it, was also brilliant. And I just thought, and I was sad because I thought to myself, I got great stuff in this interview, maybe 20 minutes with each. I'm going to get to use maybe 45 seconds of it on the air. It kills you, but you pick the best stuff, and then these days you can use the outtakes elsewhere, like online. But back then,
we didn't have any of that back then. Now it's like everything can be online. Your Charlie Manson interview
was he?
Who talked about that? I'd like you to share that.
Okay, we did it because you see, it was the 20th anniversary of the murders, and he got to choose in prison which one outlet he would talk to. And for some strange reason, I found out later why he picked Entertainment Tonight. So everybody in the world wanted him for an interview for that anniversary of the deaths. And we were lucky to get him. And we fly up, like 5 a.m. from LA, fly to Fresno, drive an hour and a half down to California State Facility at Corcoran, California, which is very max. He was in the, there's tier 1, 2, 3, and 4. It's 4 concentric circles. He was in the one most inside. So there was no getting out of there. You couldn't escape. You would have had to go through 3 other prisons to get out. So we go in, and they made us sign a thing, which we hadn't seen, which said basically, if I get taken hostage, I don't expect the state of California to negotiate for my release. So I was like, oh, guys, you want to sign this? We came all this way, and they were like, yeah, sign it. Nothing will happen. So we sign it, and we go in, and they bring him in, and he's just out of his friggin' mind. I mean, you could see his eyes going like this. I mean, you knew there was something wrong with the guy. And we sit down, and he's shackled, hand and leg. Apparently, he had done Geraldo in the past, and Geraldo kept yelling at him and got him riled. So Charlie started screaming, and then the prison was pissed off because they thought, I don't like the way that looks. We don't want. So they made sure we were going to be gentle with him because they didn't want more exposure of how, dangerous this guy is. And he's dangerous. I mean, frankly, I was glad he was shackled hand and feet.
Right.
I didn't want him going anywhere. So anyway, there's one.
You said at one point he looked like he was going to lose it. And then you brought up the fact that he writes music. Can you? Oh,
he liked talking about his music. But the one thing I had heard, that it was a mistake, that he thought the house they were breaking into was Doris Day's son, and who had turned down an audition of his music, and he was pissed. So he thought that house was still occupied by Terry Meltzer, I think it was. And so I mentioned his name. I said, is it true that you really thought that house was owned by this son of Doris Day who had turned down your music audition? Well, he freaked out. He just started screaming.
He really lost.
I said, oh, God, what? I didn't mean to. I just thought it would be an interesting story, but it obviously was a sore point. He doesn't mean nothing to me. I'm better than him. I mean, just
crazy stuff.
It's crazy. And I watched, and he tried to get up, and he was shackled, so he couldn't. And I look over at the producer, and here's another thing. I thought we had talked to him for maybe 8 or 9 minutes.
Yeah.
We had used up an 18-minute tape cassette. So obviously it wasn't 8 minutes, it was 18 minutes. And the camera guy says, we have to change cassettes. We've run out of tape. I couldn't believe it. And I realized, I think I was kind of not hypnotized, but I was definitely in an altered state from looking into his eyes and hearing him talk.
That's really scary. And
scary.
Wow. You were in it, yeah.
And if you were, imagine he's out in, let's say, San Francisco, and you're a 16, 17-year-old girl, and you're on acid, and he says, I am Christ. Right. Maybe I would have believed him. You will do what I say. I mean, he had this strange ability.
Way of mesmerizing and getting you.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Interestingly, though, I mentioned this to the field producer who was with me that day. He's retired. I'm retired. But a few years ago, I wrote to him, and I said, what did you make? You think that Charlie was as crazy as he seemed. He says, no, I think he was putting it on
for you.
Yeah, like I didn't get that, but you see different people respond to him different ways. I was just glad he was there because I wouldn't want to run into him someplace.
No, I mean, that what incredible though that you have that. You can do a whole other book on all the people that you've interviewed. We love to read that kind of stuff,
Thanks.
right?
I hate to say it, but homicides, I mean, covering crime, it is interesting. If you don't have to do victims, if you just do like the embezzlers and those guys, those are
right in the middle of everyday embezzler. Here's another everyday embezzler.
Listen to me. I hate to say it, but that's how I feel about Trump. He's like he's a shyster. That's how he seems.
Well, again, we're going back to like how people have been brainwashed. We watch TV, reality TV. I remember when reality TV started to become the thing, and in the acting unions, everybody was like, oh my God, this will be you remember, this will be a flash in the pan. It's never going to take off. What they didn't understand was reality TV became Americans' reality.
Yeah.
Okay? And you're dealing with that as well. When you say, how can people not see? Well, they've been groomed. Let's use the word groom. It's certainly used enough. Yeah. They've been groomed on reality TV.
Do you, when I'm watching those shows, rarely, but if usually David's like, don't put that on, keep changing the station. You're not going to watch that. But every so often when I see those shows, the reality stuff, I can't watch it for more than 20 seconds. It's just irritating. Do you watch it?
No, I can't even watch it at all. This is going to blow you away. One thing I can say about now, we certainly have our choices. I get some very funny things on YouTube, very funny things on TikTok, short but sweet, but hysterically funny. I do watch Netflix. Why do I watch Netflix? It allows me to travel to foreign countries while I lay in my bed. And I love the perspective of how they shoot and how they see people. The dubbing is terrible on a lot of the stuff. No fault, but it's bad. But the storylines a lot of the time are like, wow, that's such a Norwegian way of like looking.
Oh God, yeah.
I love the locations and the stories.
Yeah.
It's great. It's educational. I love the documentaries. Documentaries are.
Me too. I love them.
We can learn from those, but I don't. Everyone knows this about me. I don't watch regular TV.
It's hard,
boring. It's garbage, and it does nothing to appeal to me. So, oh my God, we're like getting down the wire here.
Okay.
I want to talk about what's next after Fairyboy.
Okay. One thing that I thought about is there's stories I kind of forgot about. I want to write new chapters about things that I did not mention in the beginning. And one of those chapters is about a guy who happened to be on the doorman at Stonewall the night of the rebellion. And he had come from prison. He had been in organized crime.
I love it.
Anyway, it turns out one day, and he had done some terrible things, blackmailing closeted gay men. Okay. And one day he says, I'm going to help gay people. And he changes and he becomes a gay community leader in the West Village and starts to, he handled all kinds of things, parades and fundraising and all that stuff. He became known as a community guy.
Wow.
And it's just a crazy story how anybody could change so fast and so totally.
Right.
And
but it shows you, right?
It shows you people.
Right.
Yes.
Leopards can change their spots, and you gotta have faith. So my God, we're at time. I always take a picture before I go off air, but first I want to tell everybody.
Thank you.
Fairyboy is available on Amazon.
And there's an audio book if you'd rather listen than read. And it's soft cover or also electronic, different versions. And I want to tell you something. This is the most fun interview I've done since Fairyboy came out in April.
I love that.
That's a legitimate, real thing I just told you.
Thank you. I love that. That's why I do what I do. It's about if we're having fun, then we're communicating. Remember, we advocate, we educate, but most of all, we entertain. I'm going to take a quick picture now because we are at time, and I always love doing this at the end of my shows. You have been a phenomenal guest.
Thank you.
6 different shows with you because there's so much there. The Brian Wilson interview that you did with the Beach Boys. Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
Okay, smile.
Okay.
I love taking these pictures. Garrett, you are tremendous.
Thank you. Thank you for making it so easy and so much fun.
Oh my God, are you kidding? I wish you so much luck with this book. It is fantastic read, so much so the 20 pages that I didn't get to. You know what? When someone can say they can't wait to read a book, that's really something.
Oh, thanks a lot, Wendy. It means a lot to me.
Thank you so much for being our guest tonight. And we'll be back next week. Thank you, everybody who tuned in. Good night.
Good night, everybody.